the MCU because I'm kind of curious what it's like being a part of that franchise because I've gotten so many stories about other guests' experience, but yours is very unique because you were there from day one. So, did you have any inkling whatsoever what that was going to turn into? And what have the conversations been like since? Because that is a character that feels like she has a place in that film franchise, even though we've only seen her in 2 films.
Yeah, and like the second one, barely. I first part, no. I was doing this movie called Midnight Meat Train with Bradley Cooper. My manager sent me this audition, and he said, "There's this thing. It's a Marvel movie," and I was like, "Marvel? What's Marvel?" And they said, "Go in," and I had worked like all night, like I was really tired, and I was like, "I can't do this audition." And it's like he knew. I remember he was like, "Leslie, put on a skirt and go in. Just do it. I don't care if you're not off book." And I was like, I'm gonna be terrible." And he's like, "Just do it." So I went and I think I don't know, was Favreau in the room? He might have been in the room. I don't know. I just remember I auditioned and did it, walked out, got it, had to go read the script in somebody's like trailer on the set. I remember I was like sneaking notes, writing stuff because I was like, I'm never going to see the script again. I'm like, I need to have an idea of like what the heck is happening. I never signed an NDA, but like about reading a script before, like never. I was like, that's weird. I was very excited to work with Robert, um, and Gwyneth did something to her knee, and like she had to have a knee surgery. So my part sort of shifted and I think, got a little. I mean, I was always going to be at the end, but like they sort of jockeyed something like it just sort of jockeyed in a different way. I think some of my stuff because I think when I had like something with her knee happen, and so like maybe I got like an extra day of scenes or something, and but I had no idea, and they were. I just remember Jon Favreau was so nice. Peter Billingsley was so nice. Robert was so wonderful. He was so wonderful, and God, he was just so great to me. And I remember they also had they had really nice craft service and really nice lunches there too. I really love food on set. And I remember John saying, I was waiting around a long time. Something wasn't going right. And I was like, man, they were like, and like, Peter's like, do you want to go like get a massage? Like he offered something like, do you want to go get a massage or something? And I was like, I was like, no, I have hair and makeup on. No, I'm fine. I can wait. I can like read a book. I can wait. It's fine. A nice trailer or something. And, but I was on set watching what they were shooting. And I remember Favreau goes, I feel like I'm shooting the most expensive independent film on earth. Like it still felt like the budget wasn't big enough or whatever. I don't know. I did it and I didn't really, I had no idea. I just remember being very excited. I was always such a fan of Robert Downey Jr. and Gwyneth was really nice to me when I got to do my scene with her. She was so wonderful and everyone was so cool. And Sam Jackson was so cool. And then the movie came out and I don't think anybody knew what happened. I do remember when I got the job, I went to a comic book store and I'm not a comic book person. And I walked in and I was like, hey, I'm looking for some Iron Man comics. And they were all like these comic book kids, like, or not people, not even because some of them are not kids, they're grown men and women were in there. And there was like something happening. I was like, and they're like, Captain America died or something happened like in the comic book world or something. And I was like, it was just amazing. I was like, he didn't really, it's not a real person that died, but it was like whatever in the comic book that had happened. And I don't think I understood the obsession with comic books. It hadn't occurred to me. It didn't, it was not in my realm of thinking. Um, and then the movie came out, and it was like it, huge, and like sort of changed everything. Um, I I I don't really feel like a part of like the Marvel world, because like I feel like I know it's like some people are like, do you know what I mean? But just because like I think there's so many superheroes, so I think there are people who are like, you're the person who got him to say he was Iron Man. Um, but it's not like you're you know Black Widow, or you're wearing a cape or like those are so like I'm so grateful to be in that world. I love it when they asked me to come do the what ifs, and I loved going back and like when they did like a thing where like we're gonna do. I just think it's so crazy how big that world is, and how they're constantly those guys and girls and women who are all at in that at that studio, how they're so smart at like branding all of it, and 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 creating content that is so digestible for so many fans. How rabid that's always fascinating to me, how rabid the fans are for that content. I think it's so interesting. And then I am with from then like now I'm with my partner, and he's such a like a he loves comic books. Like yeah, and so it's interesting. I think I have more of an appreciation about comic books because he shows them to me, and I really love these comic books called heavy metal. They're kind of they're pretty like R-rated, but I
Yeah.
think the the artwork is so beautiful in it, and that I think like Ivan Reitman, didn't he do it or something? Like there was a movie called Heavy Metal, and
I think they're doing another one now.
really, wow. I remember
I'm
Sam
pretty sure
Spokane.
casting news has been breaking about that.
Yeah, and so like I'm told you, like I'm really on cutting edge. I'm great when it comes to computers and stuff. Um, but like I remember seeing like that Heavy Metal, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But I didn't just it wasn't like it wasn't in my world. But I think it's cool. I did this show for Netflix called Jupiter's Legacy, and I got to wear a superhero costume and fly and do all of that stuff, and it was really fun. But oddly enough, God's favorite idiot, I looked at Melissa and I said, Melissa, I did a superhero show. Like I wore the muscle suit with the cape and the thing and everything. I have flown more on this show where we have $10 to get me to fly. Because that show was like slotted as like sort of like an office comedy. I did more stunts. I learned more fight sequences. I did my own flip backwards with the sword. I mean, we had such an incredible stunt team in Australia. But I said to her, I'm flying more than when I actually was a superhero. It's so strange to me that I, I did way more stunt stuff on God's favorite idiot. Like I literally came out of quarantine for being in quarantine for 2 weeks. I took a flight from Sydney to Queenstown, drove down to Byron Bay, and went straight to the production office. And our stuntman put me in a harness, and he's like, "Okay, I just want to make sure I can." And I was like 30 feet in the air, and he's like, you feel okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm actually, I said I did a show where I had to fly a lot. I love flying. It's really fun. Like I'm the person who like, when we have to fly, they're like, do you want to come down? I'm like, no, just leave me up here. Because there's something so beautiful about hovering 30 feet in the air and looking out. Like, I don't know. I love it.